See if you have a socket. What size is this? Doesn't need. Oh, this one. Doesn't even say. That's too big. This one? Well, I'm juggling now. That's too big too. Oh! I thought it was going right for the truck. Oh, that's perfect. Don't fucking toss that one.
Here there are 2 bolts on either side of the bottom part of the fork I'm removing. And the same thing for this side. 2 bolts on the bottom side of the fork. There are 2 bolts on the caliper you need to remove. Doing the same thing to the right side. Took the caliper off. I just didn't move the camera over, I'm sorry.
We might have, yeah, drop this one, yeah. I mean, that's a good. I forgot it's the kit. I thought I left the kickstand down. Not bring the gear. So it doesn't fucking roll.
And here I am just taking off the axle nut. So here I'm taking off the 2 bolts located. There's one on the handlebar riser and there's one on the actual shock itself.
Holy smokes, is that tight? DNA taggers. You still need to get the heat drift. That shit is amazing. And with those handlebar stingers on there, oh man, that would be good.
And here there are 2 clamps on each shock. You want to remove both the bolts on each clamp. And here there are 4 bolts on either side of the fairing. And now with everything removed, you should be able to just grab hold of the shock and twist and slide and whatever you need to do. Careful when you grab it or when you like slide it down. It doesn't hit the floor. It won't damage anything, but you just don't want it to hit the floor and make any unnecessary marks on your shocks. But pull it through and she should slide right out. I have no idea what this clamp is that fell, but if you know what it is, feel free to comment in the comment section, sorry. I just put the shock back on without it because I looked around on the bike and I couldn't find anything to show me like what this clamp was holding. So I just put it back on. I put the shock back on without putting this clamp back on. I looked back through my video to see if it was holding anything, and it wasn't holding anything. It was sitting on the shock, and it's plastic, so I don't think it was anything important. So that's one shock off. The other side is the exact same, so I'm not going to do a video on that. But there's one shock off. So here we have a flat bed screwdriver looking bit. It's the dampening screw. I'm not pointing at the brass bolt. There's a dampening screw on top of the brass bolt. You want to counterclockwise loosen this off. It will not come out, it'll be clicking. So each click, you have to count each click, and then when you're putting everything back together, you want to count those clicks clockwise back to where they were before you took everything apart. So here, there's a dust cap seal on the shock absorber. You want to put a flat blade screwdriver in between this, and you can pop it off. It doesn't take much. It might take a little bit, but it won't take too much. You won't break anything. You want to pop that off, tip the shock absorber upside down, and oil will drain out. Nothing's draining out of mine because it is completely empty, hence why I'm doing this seal replacement. So here we are back to that brass bolt on top of the shock absorber. You're going to want to hold the bottom end of the shock absorber while you're twisting this bolt. So either you're going to need a vise for this, as you can see, because you cannot have this twist at all. This brass bolt is very tight, so you're going to need a vise. You can't just hold the shock. So as you're twisting this off, it did not, when it came out, it didn't explode out at me at all. In other videos I've been told that, they have told you that the shock will like bust out at you or whatever. Didn't do it to me, but you're gonna want to hold the bottom end because that will spin. So there you have it. It is loosened all the way out. It did not pop out at me. You can hear it pop a tiny bit, but it does not blow up at you.
So and then to get this apart, you want to come to this end, and on the inside of here, there's an Allen key. You want to take that apart, or loosen it, and you'll be able to slide that out there. Or sorry, this will come apart, you can slide that out. Alright, so I was having issues getting all this apart. So what ended up happening is we unscrewed that all the way, but we didn't touch this at all. And when we went to go unscrew that, it wasn't unscrewing at all. It broke free, but it would not come out. So what we did is we just pulled this. We just pulled this all the way back. We tightened that up. So we tightened it up to where it was tight. And then we used, we didn't have anything special, so we just used one of these here, the Allen key, put it on the end of that socket, and we started giving her some juice over here, and she broke free. Everything came out, and then then we got, yeah, now we're good here. So that's an update. If you're having troubles with this over here, because we got it to break free, it was broke. Like it would spin, everything would spin, but it would not come out. It was weird. So we had to.
Sorry, I was not explaining this properly while I was doing this video. So what we ended up doing was we would hold the nut end, I guess, where the brass end was, the brass bolt, sorry. We ended up holding, we had to put pressure on that side. I think what my dad did was he held it, like he pulled down on it or pulled towards himself, and then I ended up having to loosen off the Allen key on the other end of it. So it would put pressure on that screw, so it was able to come out easy. It wasn't coming out for us, and it was just because there was no pressure on that screw head. So here we are at the next part of actually replacing all the oil seals. So there is a lock ring on the top. The very first thing you'll see is a lock ring. These needle nose pliers did not work for me. I couldn't get in between the lip of it, I guess, is whatever you would want to call it, where you would actually take it out. So I ended up, in a second here, I'm going to grab for, it was just like a pick, I guess is the easiest way to call it. I just used a pick, and I was able to get at it really easily. Here I'm about to take out the main oil seal. I was not able to get it out with this pick. As you're going to see on the video, it cuts out. I used the flat blade screwdriver to pry it out from the bottom. I just, it popped out pretty easily, so just don't use a pick. It didn't work for me.
Got the old brother over here, ass up in the air, working on the old beater. So what we did is we ended up getting those dust cap comes off. Dust cap said this is really nasty. Dust cap comes off, and then this washer here.
Forgive me for calling this a washer. I feel like an idiot now that I'm editing this video and notice I said that. This is a main oil seal.
Sits in this way. We just put a screwdriver. We just put a screwdriver in. We just put the screwdriver in like that and kind of like popped it out. I couldn't just grab that pick I had. I couldn't use this pick.
I could really
pick it out. And we got it out that way. And then you got this. We got this one underneath there. I got a full rebuild kit, so I'm just rebuilding the whole thing. I do not know how to work this goddamn thing. Yeah, so we're gonna start rebuilding that. Make sure everything's clean in there. You want it as clean as possible in there. Man, I love this thing. This new gimbal. It's awesome.
He likes the nipple.
That was. And this is the rest of the shock. Nice and clean. We're not replacing anything on here besides that O-ring. Everything else stays the same. Fill it up with oil. Make sure it's all good. That's it.
So I'm sorry I didn't include in this video of where to put the oil back in. Putting everything back together is pretty self-explanatory, but I will show you where to put the oil in. It's pretty easy. It's a half a liter of oil per shock, but I will show you right now where to put the oil. So when you have your shock rebuilt, but your top is not screwed into the black absorber, you want to stand your shock upright, and then you will dump your half a liter of oil into the shock. Please stay tuned for further videos of this bike, as it is getting a complete makeover for the winter coming into spring.